Hey friends, Adrienne here. We are out for a little walk and talk. Figured why not get some extra steps in on a Friday as we're winding down, going into the weekend. Take that extra couple of minutes for ourselves, keep those promises that we're making to ourselves. If we say we're going to get some steps in, we're getting some steps in. So, yeah, happy Friday, everyone. Whew, it has been a week, that's for sure. I kind of mentioned on Wednesday, just kind of having one of those times where it's like, what else? What else? But then kind of caught myself, right? Self-talk. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about as we do our little walk and talk is self-talk. Also, sorry about the wind. It's a bit breezy, though hotter than hell here in Arizona. Yeah, it's been monsoons and whatnot lately, so it is a bit breezy as I walk. But anyways, skies are beautiful because of the storms. See if I can get some of that in there, right? Gorgeous. But yeah, so anyways, this is like, I caught myself in the story of what else is going to happen, And that doesn't serve me. That's not helpful. And as a coach, I work with people on their limiting beliefs, recognizing them, kind of getting past them, and then also working on the stories that we tell ourselves. Sometimes we tell ourselves stories and we're so used to that story, we don't even realize that we're telling ourselves some type of story. So, if you are kind of asking yourself questions like, what is my problem? Why do I keep doing this? Why can't I get out of my own way? Why is this so hard? Chances are there's a limiting belief behind that. There's something that you believe about yourself that is getting in the way of you doing the thing that you want to do. We all have them. They're, deeply rooted in our subconscious. A lot of times we don't even realize that it's there. And you kind of have to peel away the layers and get at what is there. So that way you can work through it. It's not always super easy, but when you can identify the limiting belief and actually get through it, it is so powerful and can open up so much possibility in your life. So that's kind of the first thing is, what's the limiting belief there that you might have about yourself? What are those questions that you're asking yourself or the stuff that you're saying to yourself? And just getting curious about that. And again, the stories that we tell ourselves, right? You got to get clear on what they are. So if you're telling yourself like the same old broken record thing, and usually it's a lot of like all or nothing thinking, it's the I always, I never, I can't, I should, I suck at this. One day, I want to, as opposed that I will or I am. I wish, I'm trying to. All of that type of language is low vibe language. First of all, when you're thinking from those places, you're not really setting yourself up at the energetic vibe that you want to be at to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. You're kind of giving yourself an out almost by telling yourself this same old story about why it's not going to work or why it's not going to work for you, why you can't, why you should. And trying, that's what I've caught myself in off and on throughout the years, right? I'm trying to do this. I mean, you're either doing it or you're not doing it, right? Doesn't mean you're doing it well. It doesn't mean you're doing it perfectly, but either you're doing it or you're not doing it. So trying just kind of, again, it's like that lower vibe frequency that isn't super helpful when you're working towards something. So again, I kind of wanted to hit on this because, like I said, I found myself in that place of, what else? This is a tough week. Just saying stuff to myself that's not super helpful. Sorry, it's a giant bug on me. The awesomeness of walking around in Arizona. But anyways, I think when we get really negative in our minds, we're just chipping away at our confidence, at our self-esteem. Seriously, these bugs, not good. But anyways, yeah, you're chipping away at your confidence, at your self-esteem. If you're beating yourself up and telling yourself you're dumb, you can't do it, no wonder you keep, screwing this up, or it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what you're going to believe about yourself. That's the place you're going to act from. And the thing is, even when we're caught up in the drama of our lives and the difficulty of what's going on, the day-to-day minutia that drains us, we always have a choice to see things from a more expansive, like larger, more empowering, more infinite, really, viewpoint. And if you're going through right now, you might be rolling your eyes at me like, that's some bullshit. Not what I want to hear right now. And I get it, I do. But the truth is that sometimes when, like that saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. Like when you're in it, you don't always realize how much harder you're making it on yourself just by the way that you're thinking. I do believe that our thoughts create our reality. Our circumstances create our thoughts create our emotions create our behaviors create our outcomes. So that's why thought work is so important, and paying attention to the stuff that you're saying to yourself, your self-talk, your limiting beliefs, those broken record stories that are on repeat that we're not even paying any attention to. Because when things are already hard, that's going to make it harder, like a lot harder. I like taking a walk at this time because it's sunset, and again, like the sky is just spectacular, especially because there's been, like I said, some rains and whatnot. But man, hot is hot in Arizona, even at 7:40 p.m. Anyways, I'm not sure if this is something you've been struggling with lately, something that's been on your mind at all, something that's helpful for you, but pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. And when you catch yourself saying something that's not helpful, that's not kind, that's not compassionate, stop yourself and ask yourself, is that thought true? Is that thought true? So one of the things I learned to practice when I was going through my coach training was the work of Byron Katie. And it's all about that. It's all about working on the limiting beliefs, on the thoughts that you're telling yourself. And is this true? Can I absolutely know it's true? Right? You want to take it through that process. And it's a little in depth to do here, like as I'm walking, but just ask yourself that question. Is this true? Is it absolutely true? And that opens up your mind to think, like, can you find even one single instance where that thought wasn't true? And if you can, then it's not a true thought. You don't have to say it to yourself. A lot of this just starts with becoming aware of what you're thinking. Can't change the thoughts if you're not paying attention. So really, you got to just kind of hone in on that story that's playing on your mind if you want to change it. It's kind of the first thing. Another thing that I like to consider when paying attention to my self-talk is I ask myself, would I be okay if what I'm saying to myself was broadcast over a loudspeaker for everyone to hear? Would I be okay if whatever I'm thinking right now was broadcast over a loudspeaker and everyone could hear it. If the answer is no, then that thought's not serving me. And that's something that I need to work on dismantling, getting out of my head. A lot of times when our mind starts to run away from us, if we're not going to do the work on getting to the root of the limiting belief and turning that around and, dismantling that, another thing that we can do right in like the immediate moment is practice mindfulness. And mindfulness has kind of become one of those annoying buzzwords. But what it does is it gets you out of your head and into the present moment. So that might look like looking around. Just going to do a little turnaround, but I'll do like a full loop tonight. Might look like looking around your surroundings. Like I'm outside right now. What are 5 things that I can see? I can see some cholla, see a saguaro cactus, see an orchid pipe cactus, see a road sign, you can see a house. And so you look around, name 5 things that you can see. By looking around and taking in your surroundings and directing your mind to look at what's around you, process that, you're going to get out of your head and away from that thought. And then same thing, what are 5 things that I smell right now? Kind of just take some deep breaths, focus on what you could smell. What are the scents that you could take in? I feel like I could smell rain. I could definitely smell like the shrubbery. It's kind of like this almost like dusty smell in the air right now too, which again, the rain, monsoons and all that. So it's kind of the exercise, right? What can I see? What can I smell? What can I touch, right? If you're in a room and you want to just kind of feel the texture of the things that are there, what can I touch? How does that feel? And again, it's getting your mind out of all of those thoughts that are spiraling, that aren't helping you. And it's allowing you to get clear and focused on what's in front of you. So again, if you're not going to do the work on the belief in that moment, or you're having a really hard time releasing yourself from that belief, letting it go, finding something else that's more true, then another alternative is going into that mindfulness and anchoring yourself in the moment. And a good way to do that is by taking in your surroundings very intentionally. So 2 things that we got there, right? Work on the limiting beliefs and the stories we're telling ourselves, mindfulness, and grounding ourselves in the present moment. 2 things that are super helpful when our self-talk is running away from us. Actually, 3rd thing was if this was being played over a loudspeaker, is it helpful? And if it's not, I guess it's more the awareness piece than the changing piece, but super important still in identifying if it's a helpful thought. If it's played over a loudspeaker, would I be okay with that? Would I be embarrassed by it? Kind of helps you assess the quality, the vibe of that thought. It's kind of taking a second here. It is really beautiful. And after I turned around, the wind doesn't seem so loud in my headphones, which is kind of nice, but it's just like a really beautiful night. So just trying to take that in and appreciate it. So if you didn't join me on the last one, point of the walk and talk, again, I think I said it at the beginning, is throwing on your shoes, getting in some extra steps at the end of the day, just taking a moment for yourself. When we're going through hard times, especially as women, a lot of the times we put everybody ahead of us. We take care of everybody else, and we're not super in tune with what we need or what we want. So just by giving ourselves a few extra moments together, out on the roads, taking some steps, just enjoying the evening, winding down a little bit, giving ourselves that time and space. It's kind of just the point of this little chat. I hope it's helpful for you. Comment, like, share the video if it is. Feel free, of course, always send me a message. If this If this is something you're struggling with, self-talk, being unkind to yourself, just know that you're not the only person that does that. We all do it. Some days are worse than others, of course, like with everything, right? Some days we're more kind, compassionate, generous in spirit, and other days we're just trying to get by. So I encourage you, though, to really tune in and become aware to the stuff that you're saying to yourself, because on those days that you're struggling, that you're just trying to get by, if you're being unkind to yourself and you're beating yourself up, again, that difficult day is going to become so much worse and so much harder. So try not to do that to yourself. You don't deserve that. You deserve the same kindness and same generosity, same positivity, same compassion that you give the people that you love in your life. If your best friend made a colossal mistake, maybe you'd give her some feedback, sure. But would you be awful to her? Would you, say terrible things and make her cry and feel awful about herself, like she's not worthy of anything? Of course not. You're going to listen to her. She wants some feedback, give her some feedback, but you're also going to try and pick her up, because that's what friends do. Be that person for yourself. And that's where the self-talk comes into play. Pay attention to the stuff you're saying to yourself. You don't deserve you being unkind to yourself. You don't deserve putting yourself through the ringer. We're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect day. It's just not going to happen. Compounding the difficulty by being mean to yourself doesn't fix it. It doesn't make it better. It just hurts. I think of a time when I was in college and a girl that I knew at the time, she was, frustrated, having a bad day, whatever was going on. She was taking her emotion and anger out on the people around her. And she was saying just some unkind things. And I remember my reply was something like, I don't actually care what you're saying to me, because there's nothing you can say to me that's so mean that I haven't said to myself. Something along those lines. Trying to be flippant, but it's the truth. I wasn't always kind. I was super hard on myself. I put so much pressure on myself to be a certain way. For what, right? There's no point. It's not kind. It's not compassionate. It's not helpful. And that's something that stuck with me through the years. I said that. Like, I owned up out loud that sometimes I'm not very nice to myself. And after saying that out loud, again, something that stuck with me for years, that's something that I'm really intentional about not doing at this point, because I don't deserve that. Neither do you. So I hope you have an absolutely amazing weekend. I hope you have the weekend that you need. I hope that you're able to take some time for yourself and you're able to spend time with people you love. And I hope that, it's everything you need it to be. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll pop out next week for some walk and talks, cover some different subjects, catch up on life, casual chat with your BFF. All right, so like I said, I'm getting home, so I hope you have a most amazing weekend, and we will talk soon.